and today I'm going to start your first novel, Aspects of the Novel. And this is a very beautiful novel, and this novel is written by E.M. Forster. And first of all, student, I will read the introduction of the poet E.M. Forster. So let's start. Edward, the full name of the E.M. Forster. Who is E.M. Forster? E.M. Forster. E that means Edward, M that means Morgan, and Forster. Full name is Edward Morgan Forster. Edward Morgan Forster is a well-known novelist and critic. It is said that much of his creative work is concerned with the legacy of Victorian middle-class liberalism. But a critical reading of his work shows that it is much more than that. It deals with the exploration of the essential ingredients of human nature. And E.M. Forster was born in London in New Year Day in 1879 at 6 Malcolm Place, Dorset Square, London. His father, Edward Morgan Llewellyn Forster, was a London architect who died from tuberculosis in 1880. His mother Lily was a Vicello. The Vicellos were a poor middle-class family, and Forster was brought up by three women. It means we can say that three women play a very important role in his life. And his great aunt Marine Thornton, and whose household was the center of one of the most important social movements of the early 19th century. And the second one is maternal grandmother. Maternal grandmother, that means Nanny, and Louis Vicello and his mother, and the third lady, because in the previous line we have already read three women play an important life. The first one is great aunt, that's name is Marine Thornton, and the second one is maternal grandmother, that's name is Louis Vicello, and the next one is mother, that's name is Elise Clara Forster, known as Lily. And Marine Thornton died in 1887 when Forster was 8 years old, and she left him a legacy, that means the heritage, and the legacy of $8,000, and which enabled him to become a writer. Forster wrote in his biography of Marine, "She and no one else made my career as a writer possible, and her love in most tangible sense and followed me beyond the grave." And Forster was educated at Tonbridge School and then at King College, Cambridge. At Cambridge, he came into contact with the members of the Bloomsbury Group. And students, Bloomsbury Group is the most important term, and number of times this term is given in the competition exam. What's the meaning of the Bloomsbury Group? And Bloomsbury Group is a name of a book or a place, and how many writers associate with this group. And a number of questions asked in the exam. So students, you need to know the meaning of the Bloomsbury Group. Bloomsbury Group was a group of associated English writers, intellectuals, philosophers, and artists in the first half of the 20th century. A group of scholars and we can say that a number of the scholars and number of the writers associate with this group, and these included Leonard Woolf, Lord Keynes, Lytton Strachey, Roger Fry, Clive Bell, and Duncan Grant. And all these members, these are the 7 members associated with the Bloomsbury Group. He grew into an intelligent and a sensitive young man, and he shared with his. And now we talk about Bloomsbury Group and other facts. A group of scholars and a loose collective of friends and relatives and were closely associated with the University of Cambridge for the men. It means all these 7 members, we are talking about the members of the Bloomsbury group, and these members are closely associated with the University of Cambridge for the men and King College London for the women, and they lived and worked and studied together near Bloomsbury, London. Bloomsbury is the name of the place and it is the district of London. And the next one, their works and outlook. Where works? Which works? Their works. Their works, that means all the members' works and outlook deeply influenced literature. And what's the point? And outlook, that is the aesthetics, criticism, economics, as well as modern attitudes and towards feminism, pacifism, and sexuality. And a well-known quote is given, and we can see that a well-known quote attributed to the American writer Dorothy Parker. And he very rightly says that all these members of Bloomsbury group, and she quoted that they lived in a squares, squares, which it is the shape of in mathematics and square, and that painted in circles and loved in triangles. I repeated, they lived in squares and painted in circles and loved in triangles. And Dorothy Parker caught this line for all the members of the Bloomsbury group. And now I'll explain what's the meaning of this quote. And this one, this phrase has been, this is the phrase. And they lived in a squares, painting in a circles and loved in a triangles. This one is the phrase. And this phrase has been attributed to Dorothy Parker, as we know that. And she is said to have been describing they lived in a Bloomsbury section of London, known for its green squares. It means square. They lived in a squares. Where these members lived, all these members lived in a green squares, and they had often complicated love lives, and they loved in triangles, and were at a time criticized for their philosophies and talking in a circles. And so when we are talking about in a very major issue and in a very in a brief, and we come in together, and we can say that we come in a circle. And this circle conversation we have seen in a number of time at a time of the cricket match in India. All the members and all the players come together and start conversation in a circle. And so this phrase implement on that and talking in circles. So this is the Dorothy Parker statement and quote, and they lived in squares, painted in circles, and loved in triangles. Now students, I am talking about the work of the E.M. Forster. He started writing for the Independent Review on political subjects, and he also showed his keen interest in the and when he was 26, he published his first novel. And his first novel of Forster is Where Angels Fear to Tread. This work will come in 1905. This work came in 1905. And he published his second novel, The Longest Journey, in 1907. A Room with a View was published in 1908, and Howard's End was published in 1910. And the collection of the stories, The Celestial Omnibus, appeared in 1911. Now, Forster visited India for the first time in 1911. As you know, students, E.M. Forster, this writer, come in India at the time of the 1911, and the first Indian whom Forster knew intimately was Syed Rose Masood. You know him, Syed Rose Masood. This man is the grandson of the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and you have heard this name in the number of times in the history of Indian history at the time of the 1911, and this time E.M. Forster comes in India, and the grandson of Sayyid Ros Masood, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, welcomed him. And Forster came into contact with Maharajas of Devas, senior and Chhatrapur Maharaja of Devas requested him to be his private secretary. Who offered him E.M. Forster to be a secretary? Maharajas of Devas, and requested to E.M. Forster to be the private secretary. But Forster's second visit in India in 1921. It means E.M. Forster came in India in 2 times. He is twice visited, and first visit come in 1911 and the second one is 1921, and was in a response to the request. And Indian life made a special impact on his creative imagination, and he started working on a new novel. As we know that he is a writer, and writer always find out the materials and find out the thoughts, and when the thoughts come in his mind, they start the writing. And but here is a lot of experience of E.M. Forster in 2 visits, first one of the 1911 and the second one of the 1921. And a passage to India, and after his first visit to India, Forster completed his novel in 1924, and its publication brought him worldwide fame. This publication, A Passage to India, this is the most famous novel of E.M. Forster, and its publication brought him the worldwide fame, and he celebrated the secret understanding of the heart and the unique power of love, which were the cardinal virtue of Indian life. And now I'm discuss about the major novels of E.M. Forster. And the first one, Where Angels Fear to Tread, and it came in 1905. And in this novel, Where Angels Fear to Tread, and students, I read only 2 and 3 lines of this novel, just you find out a hint of that novel. Where Angels Fear to Tread. In fact, the problem of Where Angels Fear to Tread is Forster's first novel, and which contains the seeds of his later fiction. And it is about social and cultural liberalism and the theme of communication. And in fact, the problem of communication among different characters is one of the central theme of the novel. And Philip Hareton's 2 journeys to Italy clearly shows that he is disillusioned with Italy. And the next we talk about The Longest Journey, and it came in 1907. The Longest Journey is Forster's second important novel, and which has baffled his critics. And one of the main theme of this novel, I am talking about the theme of The Longest Journey, and one of the main theme of this novel is the internal clash between appearance and reality. It means The Longest Journey is totally based on the clash between the appearance and reality. And Ricky Elliott is a highly imaginative man who is terribly lost in dream about cows. And this is The Longest Journey. And the next novel is A Room with a View. A Room with a View is the Forster's third novel, and he started writing in 1903 and completed and after the publication of The Longest Journey in 1907. And it appears to deceptively light work, and it is a social comedy written in the style of the Jane Austen. And the next one is Howard's End. Howard's End is a very most popular and the most famous novel of E.M. Forster, the 4th novel. It is considered to be the one of the major achievements, and the novelist explores artistically the distinct role of the individuals.